Loki the Deceiver Guide. I recommend these stats for Loki: HP, accuracy, speed, then defense, in that order. I recommend these masteries for both PvP and PvE. I recommend Perception for Loki's gear set, or Feral. And I recommend Pinpoint for his accessories. Flames of Mischief. Attacks all enemies. Has a 30% chance of increasing the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. If this champion is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff, the chance increases to 50%. Damage based on attack. Deceiver's Gambit. Select a target. If the target is an enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a block active skills debuff and a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. If the champion using this skill is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff, also applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. If the target is an ally, or this champion heals them by 50% of this champion's max HP and places a Perfect Veil buff on them for 2 turns. If this champion is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff, also applies a buff spread effect, taking a random buff from the target and placing it on all allies. Deceiver's Gambit on the enemy's team with Perfect Veil. As you can see, adds a spread effect. While under Perfect Veil, your spread effect will also work when cast on allies. Bandit Flash has a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from a target enemy and 100% of their turn meter. These effects cannot be resisted if this champion is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. If the target's turn meter was not stolen, fills the turn meters of all allies by 15% instead. Also places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Mist Step. Passive effect. Places a Perfect Veil buff on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each round. Also places a Perfect Veil buff on this champion for 1 turn whenever their HP drops below 50%. Has a 15% chance to evade an enemy skill and all of its accompanying effects if this champion is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. The chance to evade increases to 30%. Active effect. If this champion's HP is below 50% when targeted by an enemy skill, has a chance to evade that skill and all of its accompanying effects. This guaranteed evade then goes on cooldown. Loki's Aura increases ally accuracy in all battles by 60. I recommend Brimstone for his blessing. Thanks for watching my guide for Loki the Deceiver.